Whenever you see me, you should know that that means that I've made some progress in my dream retro home. And I have. And I'm excited to show you guys my aggressive renovations that I've been doing over the past couple of months. As you know, I'm not one to take too long to start a video. I like to get straight to the point in real life and online. But I will be showing you guys my mistakes, my tips, and the wins and everything in between. So without further ado, you can follow me. Wait, before I show you the home, I do want you guys to keep in mind that pretty much everything in this home is either thrifted or passed down or received through some sort of aggressive exchange on Facebook Marketplace. More likely that than anything else. So keep that in mind. Now, let's go.
So here you'll see that this is the original kitchen in its bare state. I really wanted to add some tile, and for some reason I could not find brown and white tile anywhere. So if you don't have it, make it. I figured it was just a matter of spray painting the green tiles brown, and that I should be smooth sailing from that point on. Boy, was I wrong. Anyways, this is my process. And so this is day one of me spray painting the tiles in the shade of brown that I wanted. It looked a little blotchy at first, so I went in with a lot of different layers. I learned a lot about spray paint and how to choose which settings to use based on your project from this first attempt at getting the shade of tile that I wanted. I was really hoping that this glossy finish would last, but it didn't. It actually ended up looking kind of ashy, and a lot of the dust from outside was flying onto the tiles itself, and I was very disgusted by that. But again, it's the first time. I've never seen anyone do this before, so I was going into it blindly, but I thought it looked really good. Like the illusion of it looked really good once I put it down to kind of map out how I wanted them to look. But of course, that didn't last long. This is it after just a week. The peel and stick adhesive was shifting, the paint was lifting, the scratches were showing up. And so I tried again on a new set of tiles, and the same thing happened within a week. So I'm thinking of just removing the tile as a whole and just keeping the original floor. Anyway, I figured I'd leave that project behind and move on to the dining section of the kitchen. Because the wall is split 3 times, I wanted to find a colorway that made that work. So I painted the middle section yellow, the bottom section brown, and the top section like a pumpkin shade of orange. I actually really hate it, but my followers and friends said that they don't mind the aesthetic of it. So I changed the lamp to make it all tie in a little bit better, as you'll see the little orange paint at the top. At this point, I found it a little bit more bearable, but I still really think the entire kitchen is an eyesore. I need to find a way to not make it look so cartoonish. Here's me showing angles to try to make it look very cinematic and aesthetic-y. I started to lean more into the theme by adding retro props, flowers, changing the curtains, like I mentioned earlier, changing the lamps, adding a little bit more wall art. But I don't know, I kind of think it's missing something. Like it's missing something that would tie it all in together in a way that just makes perfect sense. I'm thinking about changing the dining table to a tulip table, like a cream tulip table, but this is how it looks for now. Anyways, moving on to the next project. I've got to find a way to stop being so lazy when it comes to these projects, because I don't believe in measuring things with accuracy and doing things as efficiently as I possibly can. I like to just eyeball everything and bullshit, really, and hope that it works out. I'd rather do something wrong 4 times and do it right the first time. I don't know why, but I will hopefully get out of that habit as time goes on. Anyway, I really wanted a feeder velvet curtain sort of look hanging from the ceiling behind the new prop TV that I got. So this is my first attempt. I thought this color was absolutely hideous, and the curtains were way too short. It looks so ridiculous. This entire segment of trying to update the living room was actually a disaster. It was so much trial and error going on, which you'll eventually see. I even tried to swap those 2 curtains to see if that would change something. It didn't. I wanted to update the wall art because I was tired of having those same posters on the wall. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking with this, but it ended up looking very the orange carpet with that on the wall with the with the curtains. It was just too much going on. Yeah, so I set it up all together and I hated it. 5 minutes later, I was like, yeah, this is not gonna work. This is freaking hideous. It just doesn't make and I moved the curtains and it just looked even worse. So no. I tried to make, maybe some lighting changes to see if that would tie it in better. No, it did not. The curtains looked very raggedy. The whole place just looked like an accident. So this all had to go. Everything started to make sense when I changed the color of the curtains and obviously the length. And I think that this looked way better. I also ended up adding some wall shelves instead of those 3 posters that I had before. I swapped the original curtains back to their rightful place and things were starting to look up for me. Now moving on to the biggest, most time-consuming, most exhaustive project that I've done since being in this space. And that is starting phase 1 of my dream retro dive bar slash jazz bar basement. Now, because I have drop ceilings in the basement, that means I can't really mount things directly into the ceiling because the ceiling is filled with like styrofoam tiles that can be pushed up and removed easily. So nothing can really mount into it, as it would just bring the entire ceiling down. Here with me today is my handy helper Miriam, who's helping me do this entire project. We got everything that we needed to get started. And of course, what would a trip to Home Depot be without a man volunteering his services and help for no reason? Grateful for you. And look at how long his hang time is. That's crazy. So by now, I'm sure you can tell that I love tile floors. So this is us trying to create the grid for the floor that we were about to paint. The line work that we did was pretty awful, but at this point I didn't care. I had an event coming up and I figured that the illusion would be decent enough to where we could just look past that. I'll probably go back in and correct the line work as much as I can later, but for now this is how we got started. In the interim, I was working on mounting the disco into a wooden plank that I would then put into the drop ceiling and then cover with the styrofoam piece, which makes no sense as I'm saying it, but hopefully the visual will help. Right here, as you can see, this was just some scrap wood that someone allowed us to take for free at Home Depot. And again, the plan is to put that styrofoam to cover the wooden plank as if it never was there. All right, so the paint is down and we're waiting for it to dry. I can't even tell you how difficult this was to do without stepping into the squares and slipping and falling and having to repaint all over again. Happened at least 10 times. My only advice is to make sure that you and your helper are working at the same side of the room and working towards the same direction at the same time as well. For some reason, I wasn't able to foresee the fact that the size of the tape would be the exact same size of the divide between the squares. I hated the gap in between them, so I think I'm going to go back in with smaller tape and redo it. But now I'm moving on to mounting the projector screen. So the wooden plank that you saw earlier is actually going to be the base for my projector screen. It's going to go across those metal rods across my ceiling. So here you'll see me drilling. Again, I refuse to measure anything. I just eyeball it, and I'm screwing in the hooks that will hold up my projector screen. It's really nothing to it but to do it. So I'm taking out the styrofoam screens to sneak in the wooden plank. So far, so good. This is one of those projects where I did it and didn't have to go in and revise due to my lack of desire to measure things accurately. Everything just kind of worked out. As you can see here, it's as simple as that. And now I have a small little movie theater in my basement. And here's me reveling in the joy and the victory of what we had done today. This basement is one of my favorite features in the home, and I think that it has so much potential if I just lock in. These are all my favorite little nooks and features and pieces that I can't wait to build upon. I really hate when I forget to record in landscape. That's why all these videos are basically vertical with a blurry background. I hate it, but I refuse to re-record any of this content. The project itself was very rushed because I had a Friendsgiving event that I was hosting literally the day after. So I really didn't have much time to think through this video and what I wanted to do with it later on. I have about 6 CRT TVs now, so I figured I'd make a station called the People Watching Station, where there'd be a live stream of the event happening. So while you're relaxing on the couch, you can also watch the things that are happening in the party and discuss them and people watch and just take in the entire atmosphere. I wanted a very cozy mixed seating atmosphere that made people feel comfortable to sit together, discuss, play cards, wind down without feeling too much pressure for anything. Here's the dining choices that I made available. We had 2 round tops, 1 little nook bench in the corner, which you'll see next to the red lighting. So that's that so far, but I do want to show you how it looks during the daytime for an official tour. Here it is in all its glory. I really hope you enjoyed the little that I did have to show you. There is more to come, and I promise to be more intentional about how I present it to you next time. Nevertheless, thanks for watching. Keep up with me, and I'll see you next time.